Today, we're going to talk about coaching archetypes and how this can help you if you're a coach or you're thinking about being a coach to kind of get into the zone of understanding your own particular style and how to embrace that. And what are the different archetype energies that might help you in creating this inner knowing about your own style as a coach and your own unique energy as a coach. So you might be familiar with like Jungian archetypes or even the way we use archetypes in our activation method of coaching. Today's a little different. I was really thinking about how there are these coaching archetypes, and this would be like when we imagine a healer or a coach, we kind of imagine a certain type. And these archetypes are universal. So we all might have different ways that we feel and think about them, but they're there as a strong influence on us and also on all of society. So one that I think you can really relate to is the listener. So when you think of the listener archetype, just take a moment to imagine that. What does your listener archetype look like, sound like? I kind of immediately think of someone who kind of sits back a little and they nod and they're a little slower in their energy than an everyday person would be. And they also focus in a little bit more closely than an everyday conversation would. And this listener archetype can be really helpful for us as a coach. So I think all coaches can in a sense borrow or join with that listener archetype energy, and it will assist us. And the way this works is even if that's not your natural way of being, you can sort of decide at certain points you're going to tune in to that energy and to that quality of being the listener. And you can also learn practices and ways of empowering that energy within yourself. Okay, let's look at 5 more. And I want you to write down as you go. And please share them in the sharing section below. Please share a message about which one relates to you and when do you notice it the most in your life. So number 2 would be the inspirational archetype. So the person who naturally inspires others, whether that's through sharing about something they overcame in their life, or it's just the way they talk with enthusiasm and caring. And you know what I mean? Some people are just natural inspirations. I talk to people like this every day because I train coaches, and it's pretty common as a coaching archetype. Now, it's not necessary. You never have to be the inspiring archetype as a coach, but there are many people that is their natural way. And so when they tell a story about themselves, it's not just about them. It's inclusive of the listener. They're relating information not to brag, not to put themselves up on an egoic pedestal, but to inspire others. So it might be a story of how difficult it was for them at a certain point in their life when they really didn't have enough money to eat and they were hungry, but they fed their children, and how that empowered them because they now know how to really have deep empathy for somebody else who is struggling in that same way. I was just listening this morning to a beautiful interview with a woman who, it was an interview about listening to angels, but she was sharing that story about being so poor in Ireland that she had to go without food in order to feed her children, and the gifts that gave her. And it was so inspiring, so deeply inspiring and moving. And she's not someone who ever goes on social media. She's not somebody who brags at all. And yet that inspirational archetype was so clear and resonant as an energy. it filled me with a similar frequency of love for others and a desire to help through whatever story I can share about myself, right? So that's the inspiring archetype. And sometimes these just move into us for like a few minutes or hours, and then they move away. I like to think of archetype energies as universal energies and thought forms and feelings that just sometimes visit us and they help us out. And we can also call them to us. We can like really invite them in, and they can help us with a particular client or friend or part of our life. So for example, when going to sleep at night, there might be an archetype energy that helps us. And when doing something more like math related, there might be another archetype that helps us. That's quite different than our sleep archetype. Okay, back to the coach's archetype. This is one that I think you'll get right away, the teacher or planner. So the teacher archetype is very strong in coaching. Oftentimes, like when we think of a coach, we might think of an athletic coach that is not only helping the athlete learn their skill in terms of the actions, but they're teaching life lessons. They're teaching attitude. They're teaching visualization. They're teachers. And that's a really common way we think of coaches, right? And you might be that archetype. You might really, when you imagine working with someone, you imagine planning things out, helping them with steps, helping them look at what they want to do and what skills they need to do that, and how are they going to get those skills. So whether you're teaching them directly or you're coaching them to find the skills and the teachings they need. So that would all be the teacher archetype. And all of us as coaches can embrace that and pull it in when we need it, right? And it can be really helpful. And I think what I'm getting to here more than anything is that we can move through these archetype energies, and we can be quite flexible and fluid in our ability to empower an archetype energy and then move into another one. And we can know which ones we're kind of more comfortable in, and we can embrace that about ourselves. But you don't have to be just one. So how do you relate to the teacher archetype? Is that you? Is that not you at all? Does it worry you that it's not you at all? Because it's okay. It's okay to not be a teacher at all as a coach. All right, I want to hear in the comments what you feel about this, because that's going to give me a lot of important information as I work with coaches. Okay, now let's look at number 4, the activator archetype. So the activator is the archetype energy that's really about idea flow, brainstorming, taking actions. It's that forward momentum. So as an energy, it's a little bouncy. It's a little bit in movement. Can you feel that? Where the listener was slow and sort of laid back, the activator is a little forward facing, a little more movement, a little sparkly. Check it out. See what you feel of that as an energy. Now, the activator can really come in and be supportive when a client needs to get some ideas. Maybe they're naming something in their life, or they're planning a next step, or they feel they're having a lot of resistance or procrastination. The activator might be exactly the energy that helps. Now, you might be a natural activator, and you might wonder, is that a lot like the inspirer? So the activator doesn't have to be sharing about themselves. The activator might be really coming more from a physical energy place. It might be the way they talk. It might be just the way they feel about things, right? Now, inspiration tends to be more about sharing. It's more in that throat chakra area. The activator tends to be a little bit more in the solar plexus, like that strong energy that's coming forward. So let me know if you're an activator and how that works for you. Probably it's easy to start things. It might be a little harder to finish things, but easy to start things as an activator. And this is contagious and helpful when we're working with someone who wants to start a new project, enter a new phase of life. Maybe they're beginning to date, or they're starting a new sort of health plan, or they're moving to a new location, or they're going traveling. The activator energy would be really helpful as an archetype. Okay, now I have two more I want to share. The next one is the lover. And you might be like, lover? Does that really belong in coaching? And yes, it does. What I mean here by the lover is that quality of warmth and caring, of compassion, kindness, and like the universal friendship love. That is very much an archetype energy that we can empower in us as a coach. Now, we have to have healthy boundaries. We don't want a lot of transference. We don't want to in any way have a client or a group feel that we're being in any way inappropriate, right? Integrity and clear boundaries are essential. But love is an archetype energy that connects us all. And any conversation that is the ground of that conversation is held in kindness and love and supportive caring, that gives people what they need to take care of themselves, to make decisions, to move forward, to believe, and to have hope. So you could say the archetype of love energy in coaching might be foundational to all the others. You could say it all begins with that love, that caring, that kindness, that connection. Now, if you're not really a warm and fuzzy type, that's okay. But you probably have your own way of caring, I'm guessing. So embrace that. Embrace your own way of caring. And if you want to empower this love archetype more, you might ask yourself, so what would love say or do in this situation? You might have session plans that are focused on helping clients empower qualities of love and kindness and caring and connection. So, I definitely embrace that archetype in my coaching. And for that reason, I do create a lot of session plans that help people with those connecting feelings and experiences, because I do believe that self-love is essential, and also the relationship we build with our coaching clients. So you can think of every coaching session might have certain of these archetypes come in and move out, and you as a coach might have specific archetypes that you identify with more. What are they? I want to know. Do you feel that foundational love archetype? Do you feel more of one or two or three? Please share them in the comments. I'd love to hear. I'm really curious, because I'm wondering if we tend to all be all of them, or we tend to have one or two that we're sort of more connected to, but maybe we have another one in the wings or two in the wings that we want to try out and learn from. Okay. So let's look at number 6 now, and that is the magician archetype. So this is a real go-to one that I think many people helpers are familiar with. And if we're sensitives, if we're very empathic, very intuitive, the magician might be really easy for us. So when we start to feel into the magician archetype, it tends to have more air and space. Magic is that realm of possibility, the unknown, the mystery, the potential. And so the magician archetype is wonderful for coaching because it allows for transformation and growth. It allows for a new perspective. Metaphors come easily for the magician, flow, creativity, right? So when the magician archetype is really, really activated in a healthy way in a coaching session, there might be a lot of intuitive messages that come through for the client and maybe for the coach as well. It might be that there's more visual thinking. It might be that feelings are allowed to expand. It might be that dreams and hopes sort of come to the foreground. So the magician is amazing. It allows for a new perspective. Do you relate? Do you relate to the magician archetype? Tell me if that's the strongest one for you. And if you could number them for me, number them and let me know which is kind of top. Now, remember, we're all growing and changing and evolving, so we can move through these different archetypes and we can get to know them and we can activate them when we need to. Thank you for participating today and sharing. And I look forward to our next time together, learning and growing in this incredible world of helping others and being true and authentic as we do so, really getting to know ourselves as part of the process.